Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. In the headlines, Federal High Court adjourns suit seeking to stop PDP National Convention. Vice President Shetima declares Governor Mbah leader of APC in Enugu State. NATO, EU working together on drone wall to protect Europe. And South Korea sends high-level team to Cambodia over job scams. Details in a moment.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned hearing in the suit seeking to stop the planned National Convention of the People's Democratic Party until Thursday to allow parties resolve a dispute over the party's legal representation. Justice James Omotosho gave the ruling following a heated disagreement between two senior advocates of Nigeria, Chris Uche and Kamaldeen Ajibade, both of whom claimed to represent the PDP in the case. The suit was filed by the PDP Imo State Chairman, Austin Nwachukwu, the PDP Abia State Chairman, Ama Nnanna, and the PDP South-South Zonal Secretary, Turner George. The plaintiffs are seeking an order restraining the defendants from proceeding with the planned National Convention scheduled for November 15th and 16th, 2025 in Ibadan, Oyo State, and an order barring INEC from monitoring the exercise pending the determination of their substantive suit. In their suit, the plaintiffs stated that they are registered members and current office holders of the PDP, who also intend to contest positions in the forthcoming National Convention, but have been sidelined through what they described as illegal and unconstitutional actions of the defendants. PDP Abia State Chairman, Ama Nnanna, and the PDP South-South Zonal Secretary, Turner George. The plaintiffs are seeking an order restraining the defendants from proceeding with the planned National Convention scheduled for November 15th and 16th, 2025 in Ibadan, Oyo State, and an order barring INEC from monitoring the exercise pending the determination of their substantive suit. In their suit, the plaintiffs stated that they are registered members and current office holders of the PDP, who also intend to contest positions in the forthcoming National Convention, but have been sidelined through what they described as illegal and unconstitutional actions of the defendants. The Enugu State Governor, Peter Mbah, has been officially received into the All Progressives Congress, APC. At the grand reception at the Michael Okpara Square, Mbah was also declared the leader of the APC in Enugu State. Correspondent Chinemerem Ikebunam, who was at the event, now reports.
It was a grand convergence of political power and celebration as the Enugu State Governor, Dr. Peter Ndubisi Mbah, was officially received into the All Progressive Congress. The event drew top dignitaries from across Nigeria, including Vice President Kashim Shettima, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and several APC governors, marking one of the most symbolic political realignments in recent times. At the iconic Okpara Square, thousands of APC supporters gathered under the bright Enugu sun to witness history unfold, the formal reception of Governor Peter Mbah into the All Progressive Congress. Among other dignitaries at the ground reception include the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, Governors Hope Uzodinma, Francis Nwufuru, and other APC governors. Former governors Adams Oshomole, Rochas Okorocha, Sullivan Chime, businessman Prince Arthur Eze, and the APC National Chairman, Professor Nutewe Yewada, along with other dignitaries. The entourage was led by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, who commended the industrial spirit of the Igbo people, describing them as the heartbeat and youth energy of the Nigerian nation. Shettima went further to affirm Governor Mbah's new political status, declaring him the official leader of the APC in Enugu State. The governor of Ebonyi State, Francis Winfrey, in his goodwill message, urged Governor Mbah to carry all party members along, reminding him that politics remains a game of interest and inclusion.
To be with you, to support you, and I want to beg you, Your Excellency, to carry all the old APC members along. Carry them along. Forgive those that wrong you. This is politics. It's a game of interest. It's a game of interest.
Former APC National Chairman Adams Oshomole described Mbah's defection as an ideal and strategic move, commending his developmental strides that have resonated across Southeast region.
You have played a leading role in the politics, economy, and social transformation of Nigeria. When the heart had joined the body, then we are complete. I told my brothers, I said, we take no good now with APC. What is left? It remains for me to appreciate a young man who is showing that he's not that he's young, he's resourceful. That is the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mbah.
Governor Mbah had earlier at the government house formally resigned his membership of the People's Democratic Party and declared for the All Progressive Congress (APC). Mbah said the decision is a collective move following months of careful thoughts and soul-searching about the way forward. According to Governor Mbah, the decision is a collective one by the political family in Enugu State, comprising members of the National Assembly, members of the State House of Assembly, the State Executive Council, and all local government chairmen and councillors, as well as all political appointees and over 80% of party executives. Mbah said he had concluded that the state must stand for the principles and institutions that honor transparency, trust, and above all, the people of the state.
And this movement is not a whimsical decision. It is a collective decision. It is the entire political family in Enugu State that have now migrated to the progressive. Your Excellency, today is indeed a special day in the history of this state. Today begins a march from the margins. It marks an end of being on the sideline. Today we are coming together as the Southeast to put an end to fragmented politics. I want to express my profound gratitude to the President of the Progressive to show that we are now with you, progress and forward. So we're not going back.
Mbah said President Bola Tinubu is not just a leader but a partner in purpose, a man with the courage to look beyond today and make the tough choices that secure lasting prosperity for tomorrow. The president, he said, has shown not only interest but a deep and vested commitment to Enugu and recognized the region as a pillar of the nation's progress. Several other party stalwarts echoed similar sentiments, welcoming Mbah as a reform-minded leader whose vision aligns with the renewed hope agenda of the federal government.
I hand over to you this flag as a symbol of your transition into progress. Please join the sound of the progressive, and you're welcome in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Governor Mbah's entry into the APC marks a new political chapter that could redefine the collaboration between the Enugu State and the federal government. In Enugu, Chinemere Mikebunam, Signature TV News.
Us in the studio to discuss the movement of Governor Mbah to the APC is Ejike Ilotasie, the coordinating President General for the Enugu West Senatorial District and the immediate acting PDP youth leader in Enugu State. You're welcome to Signature TV News.
Thank you.
Now, how did this defection come to you? Did it come to you as a surprise?
Well, personally, as a political stakeholder, I'm not surprised at that. But, you know, in Enugu, it will come with a mixed feeling. You know, people in our various villages, they did not see it come soon because PDP, Enugu State have been PDP for the past 26 years. And yesterday, we have to transform from PDP to APC. I am not surprised because in the last 7 to 8 months, it has been whether who is the National Secretary of PDP, that is a slot from Igbo, I mean the Southeast. Our leader here, the Governor Mbah, have been talking with the National. The National should not impose who becomes the National Secretary to Enugu or to Southeast. The past National Secretary, who they reinstated, Anyanwu, went to contest an election. During that time, he resigned. And Udo Okoye, who was the national youth leader, replaced him. When he lost his election, he had to come back to request for his own seat. And Southeast said, no, we want Udo Okoye to be there. It is about what we want. We had several meetings. The political stakeholders, the PDP, the Southeastern PDP, and even all of us, we said, okay, now that everybody wants Udo Okoye, the National should take it. And they're insisting that Senator Anyanwu becomes the National Secretary. And those of us here who said no. We have been pleading with them. Our leader, Governor Mbah, have been pleading with them to the extent that the last meeting we had, when we submitted Udo Okoye's name, we told the National that if they don't take what Southeasterners, the person they submitted, all the stakeholders, starting from even our senators, House of Rep members, and our governor, the person we chose is Udo Okoye, and the National insisted that they will not listen to us. That is a slight. So we are looking at it, and we gave them options. It is either they listen to us, or we'll take the other way. It's not as if we don't have option. We have a good governor. In fact, I have been the most beautiful bride in this country. Everybody, PDP, ADC, APC, all of them want him. And he waited until yesterday. So I'm not surprised.
Well, how fair would you say he is to the PDP that provided him the platform to get to this point, as well as other members of the PDP that are moving over with him?
Yes, you understand with me that from what I said, it is not his wish. PDP provided him that platform, that he's the governor today, until day before yesterday. The flag of PDP is still flying in his office, as well as our various offices. But, you know, election is fast approaching. If this thing continues, if you can't take our nominee, how sure are we that if we win after the 2027 general election, how sure are we that they will even sign our result, that they will even sign our nomination? You know, so it is not about him being ungrateful to the party that presented him to power. No, this time around, you cannot contest as an independent candidate. A platform, you must contest through a platform, and he did. But you will still believe with me that if you see road and you see a deadlock, you cannot leave the road and join a deadlock.
So what would you say is the future of Enugu State now moving forward?
Well, it's a welcome development. Porting to APC will bring to Enugu State a lot of things. We have connected to the center now. You know, even choosing ministers and other political appointees at the national, even sharing of resources. If you are not connected to the center, the party that is holding power in the center, you know, They will be choosing you last. But this time around, it is not just the Enugu state. It is about the southern region. We are positioning ourselves to the center. The way they were looking at us as if we are second-class citizens in this country. It is not good to throw stones from outside. As I'm inside the studio now, we can now discuss. Instead of talking from outside, Enugu State is now connected to the center. A lot of goodies will come to Enugu State.
We look forward to that. But thank you for joining us on the news. Thank you. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has applauded Enugu State Governor Peter Mbah for what it described as a bold and strategic decision to join the party. In a statement released on Tuesday by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, the APC said Mbah's defection marks a significant step towards accelerating development and deepening good governance in Enugu State. The party expressed confidence that the move to the APC would consolidate ongoing reforms in the state and position Enugu as a major beneficiary of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. It noted that the APC offers a broader platform for collaboration, visionary leadership, and transformative growth. The party assured Governor Mbah and other new members of full support, seamless integration, and active inclusion within the party's ranks. Meanwhile, Governor Mbah has called for a political resolution to the continued detention of indigenous people of Biafra IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, stating that legal proceedings alone may not yield lasting peace. Speaking shortly after announcing his defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, Mbah reiterated his long-standing position that Kanu'S case is best addressed through dialogue and political engagement. The governor revealed that he raised the issue with President Bola Tinubu within his first week in office, emphasizing that a political solution remains the most sustainable path forward. He, however, noted that any such process would require careful planning and a strong regional consensus before being presented to the federal government. Kanu has been in the custody of the Department of State Services, DSS, since his rearrest in Kenya and extradition to Nigeria in June 2021, a detention that has sparked widespread criticism. President Bola Tinubu has forwarded the name of Professor Josh Amupiton to the Senate for approval as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Tinubu's correspondence was read on the floor of Tuesday's plenary by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Amupiton's name was forwarded to the Senate in line with Section 154, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The nomination was referred to the committee as of the whole to screen and approve the appointment of Professor Amupiton as the INEC chairman.
For confirmation of appointment of the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In accordance with the provisions of section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Professor Joash Amupitan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Attached Shewi is his curriculum vitae, while hoping that the Senate will consider and confirm the appointment of the nominee in its usual expeditious manner. Please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. This is referred to the Committee of the Whole for consideration.
President Tinubu, in another request through a different letter, sought confirmation of the Senate for the appointment of Mrs. Ayo Omidiron as new executive chairman of the Federal Character Commission and 28 others as federal commissioners.
President of the Senate, distinguished SP, confirmation of appointment of chairman and commissioners of the Federal Character Commission. In accordance with the provisions of Section 154, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the underlisted 39 names of nominees, as one as a chairman and others as commissioners of Federal Character Commission, FCC, as follows. Honorable Mrs. Ayo Huluyat Omidiran from Osun State as chairman. Honorable Obina Oriaku, Abia State, as commissioner. Mrs. Bema Madai Adamawa as commissioner. Mrs. Eunice Thomas Akwa Ibom State as commissioner. Honorable Noli Nkechi Gloria, PhD, Anambra State, as commissioner. Peter Eze of Enugu State as commissioner.
In other Senate development, Senator Smalia Dahoga Kaila has formally left the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to join the All Progressives Congress, APC, citing internal crisis and loss of strategic direction within the PDP as key factors limiting his ability to serve effectively under that party's platform. President of the Senate, Akpabio, announcing the move on the Senate floor, said Senator Kaila's decision follows thorough consultations with political allies and constituents in Bauchi North Central. The National Assembly says it remains committed to reforming the nation's electoral laws ahead of the 2027 general elections, with the aim of strengthening democracy, deepening transparency, and restoring public trust in the electoral process. The assurance came during a public hearing organized by the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters of the Senate and House of Representatives, held at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja. Speaking at the opening session of the public hearing, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, represented by the Chief Whip of the Senate, Tahir Monugo, said that every generation of Nigerians have a duty to renew and refine the principles of democracy to reflect the aspirations of its people. He described electoral reform as the lifeblood of democracy, stressing that the credibility of leadership depends on the legitimacy of the process that produces it.
Every generation of Nigerians must in its turn polish the mirror of democracy so that it reflects the truth of its age and the hope of its people. Laws like nations must adopt or they decay. The Electoral Act of 2022 served a noble purpose, but experience has taught us that perfection is a pursuit, not a possession. The law we make today must correct the weakness of yesterday and prepare the ground for the victories of tomorrow. Electoral reform is not just a technical exercise. It is the lifeblood of democracy. It ensures that leadership is born of legitimacy and that power flows from the people, not from privilege. A nation's greatness is not measured by the noise of its elections, but by the credibility of their outcome. When citizens believe that their votes count, they invest faith in the republic. When they doubt it, the soul of democracy begins to fade. Our duty as legislators is therefore to build a system where every Nigerian, from Sokoto to Calabar, from Yenagoa to Kano, and from Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. They didn't write Maiduguri here, but I decided to mention Maiduguri. From Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. Knows that his or her vote is sacred and the process is shielded from manipulation.
Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, represented by the House Majority Leader Julius Ihobere, explained that the ongoing process would eventually lead to the repeal of the Electoral Act 2022 and the enactment of a new and improved framework before the 2027 polls.
This effort will eventually culminate in the repeal of the Electoral Act of 2022 and the enactment of a new Electoral Act, which we hope to see signed into law well ahead of the 2027 general elections to enable the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to be properly guided and adequately prepared. The Electoral Act Amendment Bill seeks not only to strengthen measures against electoral fraud, improve access for persons with disabilities, and establish clearer timelines for resolving disputes, but also to reduce the ambiguities that trailed previous elections. Our goal is to make elections less contentious, lower their cost through single-day voting, and make the process of party primaries more democratic and inclusive.
The Joint Committee Chairman Simon Lalong and Adebayo Balogun, in their separate remarks, emphasized the dynamic nature of law and the need for Nigeria's legal framework to evolve in line with current realities.
Elections are the lifeblood of democracy, and the legal framework that governs them must be robust, responsive, and reflective of the realities of our time. This public hearing is a clear demonstration of the leadership of the National Assembly as well as the Joint Committee to open governance and citizen participation. It is our firm belief that laws that affect the generality of the people must benefit from the input, their experience, and their aspirations. It is in that spirit that we invited stakeholders from across the spectrum, political parties, civil societies, electoral experts, security agencies, and media experts, academia, and ordinary citizens to contribute meaningfully to this reform of our electoral legal framework.
I might not be able to elaborate on all the areas that we considered for amendments, but I will mention a few which are of interest to the public, such as the early voting, which means that people on essential duties will be able to have a week or two opportunity to vote earlier than the others. Non-compulsory use of PVC has been agitated by the populists. Timeline for elections and election tribunals, which is proposed to be moved from the Constitution to the Electoral Act, although this will still require some constitutional amendments. Voting by inmates, which already had a judgment compelling the INEC to ensure that inmates are also given their constitutional rights. Replacement of members of legislative houses without by-election, which was also a proposal from INEC trying to look at way of costing costs. Transmission of results, political parties and internal democracy, amongst many others. A document highlighting these proposals will be circulated in the hall to all relevant.
Still from the country's parliament, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas is assuring Nigerians that the National Assembly will be crafting policies and laws that will strengthen Nigeria's petroleum sector for a more secure, efficient, and resilient economy. Abbas was represented by the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, at the first annual Downstream Petroleum Week in Abuja, with the theme celebrating successes, confronting challenges, and finding solutions for the petroleum downstream sector. Abbas said the downstream industry is witnessing a revival, noting that the takeoff of the Dangote refinery marks a turning point in Nigeria's quest for energy self-sufficiency, while the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 further reformed governance and boosted investor confidence in the oil and gas sector.
Nigerians therefore expect certain deliverables from this conference, especially as they concern the prevalent infrastructure deficit that has hampered the full optimization of liquefied petroleum gas, the LPG, and compressed natural gas, the CNG. Solutions to energy security issues, pipeline vandalism, and dubious pricing, and policy clarity over certain regulations in the sector. As part of the larger energy transition, this conference is expected to develop a roadmap for sustainable energy practices and discover opportunities in new technologies that power solar, that wind, and hydroelectricity.
Chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources, Ikenga Ugochinyere, said the committee is aware of recent labor concerns involving the Dangote refinery and sector unions, noting that while such issues are not uncommon in developing economies, they must not be allowed to undermine productivity or national stability. He urged labor unions and industry operators to prioritize dialogue over disruptions, assuring that the committee is ready to facilitate peace, fairness, and mutual respect in all industrial engagements.
On labor issues, it must be noted that no reform can succeed without industrial harmony. The committee is aware of the recent labor concerns involving some of the refiners and sector unions, which, while such action issues are not uncommon in developing economies, they must never be allowed to undermine productivity or national stability. I therefore call upon both labor unions and industry operators to always pursue dialogue over disruption at all times. The SAL committee stands ready to facilitate peace, fairness, and mutual respect in all industrial engagements.
Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio, represented by Oyelola Ashiru, said no nation achieves transformation without resolve, noting that the path to energy stability will be neither short nor easy, while emphasizing the need to confront smuggling, sabotage, and inefficiency in the distribution system.
No nation reforms without pain, and no people are transformed without resolve. Let no one imagine that journey to energy stability will be short or simple. There will be no moments of doubt, moments of difficulty, but if we stay the course, the result will be stronger, fairer, and more prosperous for the Nigerian nation. We must continue to confront smuggling, sabotage, and inefficiency in our distribution system. We must expand our gas infrastructure, strengthen our refineries, and modernize their storage and supply chain. We must also embrace the reality that the world is moving towards cleaner, renewable energy, and prepare our children not for the past, but for the future.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ekberikpe Ekpo, acknowledged persistent challenges, including infrastructure deficits, market volatility, and regulatory uncertainty, calling for stronger collaboration between the executive and legislature, greater private sector participation, and adherence to global best practices. Up ahead, Trump administration says 4,108 workers have been fired since shutdown began. Madagascar looks to future after military takeover. Details in a moment.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, We will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
NATO Chief Mark Rutte said on Wednesday, before a meeting with defense ministers, that the military alliance and the European Union were working together in their efforts to set up a drone wall to protect member countries from drone incursions. Rutte said the EU and NATO had different roles, with NATO providing capabilities on the military side and the EU holding the soft power of the internal market and making sure the money is there.
I can assure you that the EU and NATO are really working very well together. There is no doubling at all. Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, myself, the relevant commissioners, including Kubilius and of course Kaja Kallas and the others, we are all making sure that we make use of the strengths of the two organizations. And NATO is good at the hard stuff, which is the standard setting, the capabilities, the military side. And the EU has the enormous soft power of the internal market, the enormous soft power of making sure the money is there, making sure that the nations in the EU are aligned. And this combination is crucial to work together.
Upon his arrival, Britain's Defense Secretary John Healey said on Wednesday his country's jets will keep flying over Poland until the end of this year as British commitment to Eastern Sentry mission is extended.
And I can announce the UK will extend our commitment to NATO's Eastern Sentry mission, which means British jets will continue to fly over Poland until the end of the year. And we are also ramping up our drone production for Ukraine, delivering over 100,000 drones this year, and jointly building new, improved interceptor drones with Ukraine.
The number of U.S. federal worker layoffs as a result of the government shutdown was revised downward on Tuesday, suggesting the Trump administration's initial statement about sweeping job cuts was too ambitious. The Trump administration has dismissed 4,108 employees since October 1st, the day the U.S. government shutdown began, according to a statement filed Tuesday in court by the U.S. Department of Justice. The Justice Department last week in a separate court filing estimated the figure was at least 4,278. The cuts amount to a fraction of the U.S. government's workforce. U.S. agencies employed some 2 million civilians at the start of the Trump administration. The President Donald Trump blamed the cuts on the U.S. government shutdown. The government is closed because Trump and lawmakers have failed to agree on a spending plan for federal agencies. Israeli Prime Minister's office said in a statement 3 more bodies of Israeli hostages handed over by Hamas were identified on Wednesday. The slain hostages were identified as 20-year-old Tamir Nimrodi, whose fate was unclear until his body was identified. 35-year-old Euro Baruch, who was killed at the Nova Music Festival by Palestinian militants on October 7th, and his body was kidnapped to Gaza. And 53-year-old Eitan Levi, who was missing for over 2 months after the October 7 attack before the Israeli army informed his family that he was dead and his remains were held by Hamas. A 4th body that was handed over by Hamas overnight was yet to be identified, and Israeli media reported there were doubts it was of a hostage. A vehicle exploded outside a shopping mall in Ecuador's largest city, Guayaquil, killing 1 person and injuring several others, the country's prosecutor's office said on Tuesday. A second vehicle containing explosives was found nearby, but did not detonate and was immediately neutralized, Interior Minister John Reinberg said, adding that police were carrying out controlled detonations and collecting evidence.
This is terrorism, this is murder. The prison term for terrorism, if I'm not mistaken, is 30 years, and for murder, we have to add another 30 years. We're going to find the perpetrators. It was done with the worst intentions in the world, at rush hour, when employees were leaving, at this peak time of people movement. These murderers will pay. They might as well have never been born. they will spend a very long time in prison and will be treated very harshly.
Authorities urged residents to stay away from the area while investigations continued. Guayaquil is one of the most violent cities in Ecuador. The explosion follows a similar incident last month when a vehicle detonated outside the city's regional jail. No injuries were reported in that case. Anxious relatives of missing workers waited on Wednesday for news of their loved ones after a fire at a garment factory in Bangladesh and an adjacent chemical warehouse killed at least 16 people and injured others, and the death toll could rise. According to a fire department official, the fire broke out on Tuesday at around midday at a 4-story factory in the Mirpur area of the capital, Dhaka, before spreading to a chemical warehouse storing bleaching powder, plastic, and hydrogen peroxide. Firefighters continued battling the flames at the warehouse on Wednesday morning. The fire chief said extinguishing the blaze fully would take time due to ongoing chemical reactions at the site. The blaze at the factory was brought under control after nearly 3 hours on Tuesday. Relatives of missing workers gathered near the scene on Wednesday, some visibly distressed.
My brother has been missing since yesterday. Someone is telling us to go to the police, some suggested visiting hospitals, and some said to come here. Nobody is providing proper information. We are being misled repeatedly. The authorities are busy with their own work, not telling us anything.
We are going back and forth to the Dhaka hospital and here, yet no trace. She used to live nearby at road number 26.
Authorities on Wednesday urged the families to maintain a distance from the hazardous area due to safety concerns. Smoke continued to billow from the warehouse as army officials spoke with grieving family members. Local authorities have yet to confirm the total number of missing individuals, and investigations into the cause of the explosion are underway. The South Korean government will send a joint response team on Wednesday to help its nationals who have been lured into working at online and phone scam centers in Cambodia. Vice Foreign Minister Kim Jina will lead the team to Cambodia to look for a resolution to the involvement of South Koreans in what had become a complex scam industry based in the Southeast Asian country. South Korea's National Security Advisor, Wee Sung-lang, said,
Today, the government decided to dispatch a joint response team to Cambodia. A joint team, which includes the second vice foreign minister, the head of investigation team at National Police Agency, and officials from the Justice Ministry, is scheduled to depart this evening. The team will meet widely with senior Cambodian government officials to discuss ways to resolve the situation. It has been reported that roughly 200,000 people of various nationalities are currently employed in the scam industry in Cambodia, and online scam crimes targeting the entire world including South Korea are being carried out from there. The number of South Koreans working there is also reported to be quite significant. The exact figure is hard to determine, but our agencies generally estimate more than 1,000 South Koreans are believed to be among them. Meanwhile, our government is prioritizing bringing back some 60 South Korean nationals who are suspected of crimes and were arrested by the Cambodian authorities in 2 crackdowns conducted in July and September.
More than 1,000 South Koreans are believed to be among about 200,000 people of various nationalities involved in scam rings operating in Cambodia that target victims around the world, we told reporters. The streets of Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo, were largely quiet Wednesday morning as residents returned to their daily routines following weeks of protests that saw the out of President Andry Rajoelina and a military takeover of the government. Rajoelina had refused to step down despite escalating Gen Z demonstrations demanding his resignation and widespread defections in the army. In a day of turmoil for the nation off southern Africa's coast, the 51-year-old leader, whose whereabouts are unknown, earlier on Tuesday sought to dissolve the lower house by decree. Lawmakers went ahead with a vote to impeach him, leaving the country in a constitutional deadlock which the military seized upon to declare they were taking charge. Rajoelina, who himself came to power in a coup in 2009, condemned the power grab by the military in a statement. Capital residents praised the move.
In Madagascar, girls are very politically aware. And young Madagascans are very satisfied with the military who have taken power. We are waiting for new foundations, new systems in Madagascar.
We expect significant progress in the development of our country, especially in the area of education.
The roofs of houses in the village of Hikong in Indonesia's East Nusa Tenggara were blanketed by a layer of ash, sand and gravel on Wednesday after nearby volcano Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki erupted. The country's volcanology agency said a tower of volcanic ash shot 10 kilometers into the sky, forcing authorities to raise the alert system to its highest level. Located in East Nusa Tenggara province, the country's geological agency said in a statement the volcano erupted on Wednesday at 1:35 a.m. for 9 minutes. It erupted again on Wednesday morning at 9:21 a.m., spewing ash 8 kilometers high for about 3 minutes.
Regarding the eruption of Mount Lewatobi, the first eruption occurred last night at around 11:17 p.m. local time, followed by a second eruption at 1:49, which lasted 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Yes, I heard a rumbling sound before we felt the earthquake, a slight shaking, and then we heard an explosion. At present, all residents of Hikong village and the surrounding area are experiencing sand rain. Yesterday we experienced ash, and today we have been experiencing sand since last night until now. Especially after the eruption, we will definitely experience sand rain and gravel. As farmers, it is highly likely that we will be unable to carry out our activities under these conditions.
Let's join Ken Mbah on the sports news.
Welcome to Sports News on Signature TV. Super Eagles manager Eric Chell has showered praises on Victor Osimhen after the forward's stunning hat-trick inspired Nigeria to a commanding 4-0 victory over Benin in Uyo. Osimhen, who joined Turkish giants Galatasaray permanently this summer, netted twice in the first half before completing his treble early in the second half to seal a memorable performance for the home fans at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. Speaking after the match, Chell expressed delight with his team's response and commitment since his appointment, describing Osimhen as the best striker in the world.
I'm so proud of my players. They deserved this game because it was not easy with a new coach, with a new philosophy they acclimate really faster. So now we go to Morocco. This is not finished. This is the beginning. It will be very, very, very difficult. For tonight, I'm just happy for my player. They played a great game 2 hours ago. They played a great game 3 days ago. Like I said before in the last conference press, things good. Things good because you are here. And I'm happy for the fact because they bring us the victory. They start to help us to push us to take this victory. The player played a very great game.
The result secures the Super Eagles' passage to the playoff round as they continue their push towards the 2026 FIFA World Cup to be co-hosted by United States, Canada, and Mexico. Ivory Coast overcame Kenya 3-0 in their final qualifier on October the 14th to finish top of their group and secure a berth at the New Year's World Cup finals. Captain Frank Kessie had the reigning African champions ahead after 7 minutes, but they squandered a hatful of chances before teenager Yan Diomande added a second in the 54th minute. Amad Diallo then buried an 84th minute free kick into the corner for the third goal amid a torrential downpour in Abidjan. The emphatic win put the Elephants 1 point ahead of Gabon in the Group F final standings and sees them reach a World Cup for the fourth time, but first since 2014. Qatar handed the United Arab Emirates a 2-1 defeat to qualify for next year's World Cup finals on October 14th, as second-half headers by Boulem Kouki and Pedro Miguel secured their side's place at the tournament. Kouki made Akram Afif's free kick 4 minutes into the second half to put hosts Qatar ahead, and the Asian Player of the Year unlocked the UAE defense again with 16 minutes left, delivering the free kick from which Miguel headed in. Qatar's Tariq Salman was sent off in the 89th minute, and Sultan Adil pulled one back for the UAE 9 minutes later in the nail-biting finish that featured more than 15 minutes of stoppage time. Qatar will be appearing at the second consecutive World Cup finals after making their debut at the finals as hosts in 2022. Saudi Arabia claimed a 0-0 draw with Iraq in Jeddah on October the 14th to seal qualifications for the World Cup. Herve Renard's side only needed a point against Graham Arnold's Iraq and an injury time save by goalkeeper Nawaf Al-Akidi to keep out Hassan Abdul Karim's curling free kick ensured the Saudis confirmed their progress. The result means that Saudi Arabia win Group B of the fourth round of Asia's preliminaries, finishing level on 4 points with the Iraqis, but ahead of their neighbors on goals scored after recording a 3-2 win over third-place finishers Indonesia. A last-dig tackle by Hassan Al-Tambikti stopped Iraqi forward Mohanad Ali on a rare sortie forward 15 minutes from time, while Abdul Karim went closest of all for his team deep into injury time. However, his curling left foot free kick from 25 yards out was pushed to safety by Al-Akidi when he dived to his right, and the Saudis prevailed to qualify for a 7th World Cup since making their debut in 1994. And that's the size of the package of sports news on Signature TV. I am Raymond Ken Mbata.
That's the news this hour. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Thanks for watching.